Call the meeting to order at this time. We have two public hearings tonight. Our first public hearing, item number 1 on top of the agenda, is for Randy Bailey, 265 Patterson Avenue. Request C1 zoning. Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 2017-12 rezoning. This is a request by Randy Bailey, 265 Patterson Avenue, to have property owned by Community National Bank, known as MAP 0013B13008, Battlefield Parkway, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, rezone to a C1 commercial special exception zoning. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak in opposition or in approval of this rezoning? If so, come up, please, and sign up.
Yes, please.
And if you would, state your full name to the microphone.
Randy Bailey. And I'm just wanting to get it zoned to C1.
Anything else?
That's it.
This is the one on Patterson Avenue, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the plan for the property?
Not really sure right yet. Thought about putting a softball facility on it, metal building, but that's just something that works right now.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition or in favor of the rezoning? Mayor, it doesn't appear there are any other speakers in regard to that matter, so I would declare this open portion of the open meeting closed.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Second item under public hearing is Community National Bank, map number 0013B13008, Battlefield Parkway, requesting C1 commercial special exception. Mr. Stokes.
This is 2018-01 zoning, request C1 zone. No, that's Mr. Payne, I'm sorry. This is 2000. Yes. This is third and final reading, or this is open records request to C1 commercial special exception, Community National Bank, map number 0013B13008, Battlefield Parkway, Fort Oglethorpe. Is there anyone here who would like to speak either in approval of this zoning or in opposition to this zoning?
Yes, sir, Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chad Young. I'm here on behalf speaking on behalf of Community National Bank, who's the property owner, but also representing East Haven Partners, who is the proposed purchaser and developer of this tract. With me tonight is Mike Moon, who's setting up, and his partner Barry Payne from East Haven Partners, and also Natalie Hunt is here on behalf of Community National Bank. Just a quick overview of this particular tract, as I'm sure the mayor and council are familiar with. This is the tract that goes alongside of and behind Walgreens at the intersection of Battlefield Parkway and Deeds Road, which has remained vacant for some time. The entire tract is about 4.5 acres in size, and it's owned by Community National Bank and has been since 2009, when they were required to foreclose on the property from a prior owner. The land has sat undeveloped and vacant since that time. Ms. Hunt tells me that, the bank has spent roughly $200,000 in carrying costs trying to sell that property to commercial developers. But unfortunately for them, or for the bank, the prior owner, when he sold to Walgreens, agreed to a lot of use restrictions that really limited what could go in the property. And that they've had the property under contract several times, but each time a prior developer has backed out because the restrictions just wouldn't allow them to use the property for what they proposed. Currently, the property is zoned C1, as you're aware. All the surrounding properties are commercial, and East Haven Partners proposes to acquire 2.88 acres of that tract. They do have, or will have, a remaining option on the other 1.6 acres, and what they are proposing to the council is to subdivide the 2.88 acres into two tracts. One is an acre and a quarter, and one is 1.65 acres. And hopefully you have in your packet a site plan showing the proposed subdivision. On the 1.23 acre tract, they propose to build a car wash, and you have these drawings in your packet. Here's a larger rendering of how the property will be subdivided. The car wash on the 1.23 acre tract. This remaining 1.65 acres would be available for their future development. And then the tract that fronts on Deeds, they have an option with the bank they could exercise. The rendering that's before the council and that is in your packet, that's an actual car wash that these gentlemen are building on Broad Street. They've had that permitted by the city of Chattanooga, and they're going into the construction phase. The design, or the proposed design for this car wash, would be very similar in nature to what you see. The only difference would be there'd be a different color scheme and a different brick color that would coincide with the Walgreens that's there on the property. The capital investment that's proposed for this development, just this phase, would be $1 million for the land, $900,000 for the equipment, and another $950,000 for the building. And that again is just to get the car wash built and the land acquired. That doesn't include what would be built on the remaining tract. The projected annual revenue based on the site studies that have been done are $1.5 million, and that would be used to base the occupational taxes that would be paid to the city. This site would have between 8 and 12 full and part-time employees, including a site manager full-time and assistant managers. It would be built, as you said, you see here, landscaped and built with quality construction materials. And the plan for this developer is the car wash would be a way to take advantage of the traffic that's already there and draw traffic into the site, much like an anchor tenant would in a shopping center. And that would allow the remaining property to be used for whatever the best use would be. It could be a sit-down restaurant, it could be retail, it could be some mixture of the same from the traffic that's drawn into the site. I also included in the city's packet some information about the environmental concerns that may be there, or what type of impact that this use would have on your infrastructure. This particular car wash, uses only green or environmentally friendly products. There is a handout, it's an Exhibit C to your packet, that outlines the types of products that would be used. Mr. Moon tells me, and I'm relaying to you, that EPD actually encourages people to go to these types of car washes to wash their vehicles, as opposed to out in the driveway like my wife's fond to do it, and putting more types of chemicals and water in your storm sewer. I made an error in the packet that I provided to you. This particular car wash will be built with a 90%, excuse me, reclamation water system. So all of the products and the water will be recycled into tanks. I put in the packet that that's an additional $150,000 cost to the development. Actually, when you include the cost of the tank and the related equipment, it's more like a $250,000 extra cost. The water use, average gallons per day at this site would be only 2,200 gallons per day, or 60 gallons of water per car. So the site would have minimal impact on your sewer. The reclamation system that's being installed is actually can handle up to, did you say 120 gallons per hour?
No, 120 cars per hour.
120 cars per hour. So there's not any problem with the system being installed, being able to handle the capacity at the car wash. There'll be $20,000 of underground, 20,000 gallons of underground treatment and storage available. So if you have a heavy rain day when you're not washing a lot of cars, a lot of this water that's recycled is going to be stored on the site. So there may be some days that all of the water provided comes from storage tanks and doesn't even impact the city's water or sewer. This site, one of the nice things about it is that the ingress and egress are already in. The traffic that's going through this intersection day in and day out is already there. So they're not, the developer's not trying to increase traffic and should not increase traffic. In fact, they're just trying to capture some of the traffic that goes through this intersection each day. This particular site does have room, ample room, to stack up to 40 cars on the site and release them slowly in peak hours if there is a need to control traffic. I wanted to speak briefly about the operations and the security of this site. It's only going to be open during what would be considered normal business hours, daylight hours that you'd be washing a car. The anticipated daily average is 400 cars per day. Some days there'll be more, some days less, in and out of the site. It will at all times be fully staffed with uniformed employees. It'll have an on-site, I apologize, whatever's in the air getting to my throat. There'll be an on-site manager present during all times, and the staff assists. Thank you very much. The staff assists and directs the customers in every aspect. In other words, the customer does drive into the car wash, but they're loaded in by staff. They're greeted by staff. The staff takes the money. There are pretty strict use rules on site. For instance, no loud music is allowed to be played on site while the cars are being washed, and they do all they can to deter any type of loitering. When the site's closed, it's going to be locked down, gated. There are 30-plus security cameras on site. I think I put an example in your packet of what that looks like. And the site is not left open for use like you see some car washes that are just open bays with a wand and you can put in quarters and come and wash your car. Both the developer and the developer's lender have done their due diligence, and they feel like that this is a good place and a good market for this car wash. They feel like it's environmentally friendly, going to have a low impact on your infrastructure, and it's really going to capture the traffic that's already there at that intersection. And in fact, because it's on the fringe of the city limit, it's probably going to draw traffic in from the unincorporated areas of the county to this site to spend revenue in the city. It's going to use existing traffic counts, not try to increase traffic counts. And to the extent there is any concern about impact on other local businesses, the models that are in place and the research that's been done by these developers shows that this area currently more than would support this car wash. In fact, there's only one other car wash in town, and it's located further west in town than this proposed site.
Mr. Young, let me interrupt you just a second. You've reached the 10-minute limit, which is provided by statute. If the mayor desires, he can extend Mr. Young's presentation, but I'll have to extend the time for any other opposition.
We'll allow 5 more minutes and allow that same extension to anyone else that wants to speak.
Thanks, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Thank you. And I was almost through, and I'll wrap up just to say that we feel like that it fits well with the surrounding area. It's going to have a low impact on this infrastructure of the city, and also it provides a revenue opportunity to put a tract of land that is vacant and has been vacant for nearly 9 years and is really only bringing about $3,600 in property tax revenues for each year for the last 9 years for the whole 4.5 acres. It can now be improved to a way that'll it'll just be good for the city, and we would ask that you consider approving this special exception. We don't think it'll have any negative impact. And I'll be happy to answer any questions if the mayor or council have any.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak either in opposition or in favor of this rezoning with a special exception? If you would state your full name.
I'm Mike Burwell, and I own Pal's Car Wash at 1397 Battlefield Parkway. Been in business for a little over 12 years. We ended up buying the existing building, which was a car wash, and it sat on about 2 acres. And at that time, they were almost out of business completely. It was drug infested, rat infested, the whole 9 yards. So we took the shell and we increased it. And we came in with a full-service car wash and realized after about a year in business is that we needed to go what they call flex, which is bring in express car washes. And we had to do it in order so we can maintain our debt commitment. When we did that, then we realized that a little over 65% of our business was express. And we ended up going forward with that. And we too had the reclaim system and all of that, all of the lolly-dollies. But what we realized, most car wash manufacturers and builders that build car washes will come in and says, you know, we're going to get 400 cars a day. That's pretty zealous, because what they do is that they'll say 2% of the traffic flow that goes through. And we have about 30,000 cars a day. Half of them are going to work, half of them are coming home. And the rule of thumb is to be actual is about 0.5% per car. Per traffic, per day. So we're talking around maybe 150 cars, something like that, that you're lucky to get on a daily basis. Now, that doesn't include Fridays and Saturdays, and it doesn't include all the climate, all right, such as today. We did 65 cars. Now, we know that we've been in the industry for so long that we know what's required for us to make a production. Now, there's no way that you can put another car wash within a 3-mile radius of where we're at and not impact us. So if you're going to move another car wash, let's say 2 miles down the road, it's definitely going to take pretty close to half of our express car washes. Because express car washes is a convenience factor. When you're there, people are driving by, they go in and come out. Now, full service is entirely different. We have a 25-mile radius that we draw cars for full service. And for the last 8 years straight, since they started it, the Chattanooga Times has had the people vote as the best car wash in all of North Georgia. So we do have a track record of what our customers' expectations are and what our quality standards are. I also had submitted before with Car Wash Services of the Southeast. They handle all of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, and parts of Alabama. Sonny's Car Wash equipment is what they sell exclusively. And over 80% of all the car wash companies that are in those areas are controlled with Sonny's equipment, over 80% of them. So I got a letter from the president of Car Wash Services that indicated that you cannot build another car wash within a 3-mile radius unless you have at least a 50,000 car count per day or 50,000 residents living in this area. Unfortunately, in a 3-mile radius, we only have about 6,000 people living. The rest of them are wherever. But it's the same thing I've said for other car washes. If you put another car wash close by, it's going to impact your total car count for the day. What will happen after that is that it becomes like a gas war. Remember the gas wars on the opposite corners? You know, eventually one of those gas stations goes out of business, and he sells that gas station. The same thing with car washes. Now the new owner comes in there, and he says, well, I'm going to run this deal. And only one person's going to win, one of those car washes. So what happens is the value of the property of the existing car wash goes down, the remodeling, everything that's expected out of the people here at the car washes. And I can't see where putting another car wash in Fort Oglethorpe is going to be a helpful thing as far as for the community itself. It would be a little different if I didn't employ 40 people plus assistant manager and a general manager. They all contribute to the community. The car wash has always contributed to the community itself as a whole. But when it comes down to doing something like that, it'll come down to where we won't be able to do anything else. And it would almost, you could almost compare it to a movie theater. Fort Oglethorpe has a beautiful movie theater. Now, would they ever think about moving another movie theater 2 or 3 miles down the road? No, because you don't have the customer count for that to support 2 movie theaters. It's a specialty service item that doesn't compare to other economics of businesses located into the facility. Now, I know that once you build a car wash and you approve it, it's always going to be a car wash. There's no other future use for it except for a car wash. So you would end up with an eyesore with one of the locations. And so I'm definitely against the trying to locate another car wash in the area unless the car count went up or you have more residents into the facility. But one of the car washes, if you put in 2, is going to be impacted, just like a movie theater would be impacted. So that's about all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Burwell. Is there anyone else who would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition to the request for a special exception rezoning of this property? Come up, sir.
My name
Give
is,
us your, if you could write it down for us.
My name is Mike Kearney, and I just came in, and I really don't have a dog in this fight, except I'm a business owner, and used to own Skyline Power Equipment, and when I heard that someone was just saying, just because I've got, and I don't know the gentleman from Powell's Car Wash, but when someone tells me I can't open a thing because I'm having competition of it, someone at Skyline Power Equipment, I would just be like, you know, Taz, my cousin, opened one, or Bonnie's down there in Ringo. I don't know. I can't really understand that logic at all, but that's just my opinion. But
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of this special request rezoning? Mayor, it appears no one else desires to speak, and you should close the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Public hearing on these 2 items is now closed. We will now begin our regularly scheduled council meeting. If Ms. Stinnett would please do our invocation. Ms. James, if you would lead us in the pledge, please.
We make our beginning in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, you bring us together with the burden of being stewards a willing burden that we accepted, Lord. Place within us the integrity and the honor of the thought, word, and deed that brings glory to all that you have taught. Forgive us, Lord, where we fail you, and bless our decisions for the citizenry of Fort Oglethorpe in the days to come. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes of the previous council meeting. If members of the council have had an opportunity to review these, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is communications from the mayor. We have a special guest with us tonight. Mr. Leffman, why don't you come up and tell these fine folks what you have achieved.
About 3 weeks ago, I earned the rank of Eagle Scout.
Great.
Congratulations to you, Thomas. It's always good to recognize somebody that's working hard and filling the front of that shirt up. It looks like you're going to have to get you another area on the other side to cover all yours, but congratulations to you. The city certainly appreciates you and your hard efforts in achieving what you've achieved. Keep going. Don't stop now. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Miss Sam, why don't you come up and do this since you were there? Over to the podium where they can hear you.
Speak up.
I'm Sam Kinder. I'm a life member of the VFW 3679. The post of the VFW here locally, we do an awful lot for the veterans. We take care of them, their families, and anyone that we hear of, we try to take care of them and meet their needs. Well, Saturday at our regular scheduled meeting, we had several awards for the children and all of this that we, recognize. We recognized one of our own firemen. Post 3679 voted Corporal Stephen Levy, I believe that's, forgive me if that's not right, as Fireman of the Year. And a lot of you may know that he got this award, and a lot of you may not. But, we're proud of all of our men and women in the city that take care of us and keep us safe. And I think when something like this is bestowed upon one of our own, we need to recognize him. And we're proud of him, and we just appreciate all of our firemen, policemen, and the city council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Next item on the agenda is ordinances. Item number 1 under ordinances, third and final reading. 2017-12 zoning, requested C1 commercial special exception, Community National Bank, map number 0013B1300A, Battlefield Parkway. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2017-12, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by Community National Bank, known as MAP 0013B1300A, Battlefield Parkway, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, is rezoned to a C1 commercial special exception zoning. Said property is particularly described in the attachment to the rezoning as Exhibit A. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance, unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. This ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor of council. First reading was 13th day of November 2017. Second reading 27th day of November 2017. Tabled on 12/11/17. Re-advertised. Third final reading tonight 2/12/18. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Mr. Childs?
No.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. James?
No.
Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2. Item number 2 under ordinances, 2018-01 zoning, request C1 zoning, Randy Bailey, 265 Patterson Avenue. Mr. Stoltz.
2018-01 rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by Randy Bailey's Heat and Air Electric, LLC, and located at 265 Patterson Avenue, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, 30742, is rezoned to a C1 commercial zoning. Said property is particularly described in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance. Section 2, if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair the parts of the ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part to be held invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 8th day of January 2018. Second reading this 22nd day of January 2018. Third reading tonight, 2/12/18.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Bailey. Could we get some baseball cages in there too with the softball cages? Just kidding.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Child?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3 under ordinances, second reading of ordinance number 2018-02, amendment to Planning Commission. Ms. Stoltz.
Ordinance 2018-02, an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, to provide for certain revisions of the Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia Code of Ordinances, Chapter 62, Planning, Article 3, Planning Commission, Section 62.32 and Section 62.33, to provide for the provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for modification, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption and effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law. Whereas Georgia Constitution, Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 4 authorizes municipalities to adopt planning and zoning regulations within their jurisdiction and to establish a planning and zoning commission, and whereas the duly elected governing authority of the City of Fort Oglethorpe is authorized under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated 3635-3, and the Charter of the City of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, to adopt reasonable ordinances to protect and improve the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and whereas the duly elected governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia is vested in the city council composed of a mayor and 5 council members, and therefore it is hereby ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, that the Code of Ordinances for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, Chapter 62, Planning, Article 3, Planning Commission, Section 62.32, and Section 62.33 are hereby amended as follows. The Planning Commission shall consist of 5 members. All members shall be residents of the city or owner of a licensed business within the city or an employee of the City County Board of Education at the time of appointment. Members shall be appointed by the City Council. The terms of the members shall be 4 years, except for purposes of reducing the number of Planning Commission members from 7 to 5. Any vacancy in membership shall be filled for the unexpired term by the City Council. The City Council shall have the authority to remove any member for cause or written charges after a public hearing. All members shall serve without compensation, but will be reimbursed for actual expenses incurred in connection with their official duties. Section 62.33, Organization, Rules, Staff, Finances. The Planning Commission shall elect its chairman from among its members. The term of the chairman shall be 1 year with eligibility for re-election. The commission shall appoint a secretary who be an officer or employee of the city. The Planning Commission shall make its own rules and procedures to determine its time of meeting. All meetings of the Planning Commission shall be open to the public, and all records of the commission shall be public records. The Planning Commission shall make recommendations to the City Council for appointment of such employees and staff as the Planning Commission may deem necessary for its work, and may recommend to the City Council contracts with the state planning agency or other consultants for such services. The Planning Commission may require the expenditures of the Planning Commission exclusive gifts shall be within the amounts appropriated for the Planning Commission in the fiscal year budget. The majority of the Planning Commission shall constitute a quorum. This is the second reading, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stotts. Let me know when you need a break.
Yeah, I've gotten water and coffee, and I'm on the road.
Okay. If you need one, you just let me know.
Yes, sir.
We've got about 2 pages for Mr. Stotts tonight. So if that voice starts to leave, just let me know.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Item number 4 under ordinances. First reading, ordinance number 2018-03. Request zoning C1 special exception zoning. Owner of Baptist 3 LLC, located at lot number 2, Cloud Springs Plaza, map number 0003 C031002. Mr. Stotts.
Ordinance number 2018-03, zoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by Baptist LLC and known as lot number 2, Cloud Springs Plaza, map 003 C031002, is rezoned to a C1 special exception zoning. Said property is particularly described in Exhibit A of this ordinance. Section 2, if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 12th day of May, 2018. Second reading, February 12th, 2018. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stotts. Item number 5 under ordinances. First reading, ordinance number 2018-04, annexation. Owner Mike Carnia, location 1048 Cloud Springs Road, map number 0002H014, known as 1064 Cloud Springs Road, which is map 0002H015, lot number 59, map number 0002H01500A. Mr. Stotts.
Ordinance number 2018-04, annexation, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof. Section 1, that the following property owned by Mike Kernia and known as 1048 Cloud Springs Road, map number 002H014, 1064 Cloud Springs Road, map number 002H015, and lot 59, map 002H015. 00A is annexed into the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Said property is particularly described as Exhibit A and attached to the ordinance. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. That this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council, first reading 12th day of February 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stotts. Item number 5 under ordinances, ordinance number 2015-05, zoning. Requested zoning, PM Plan Development, Mixed Use Zoning. Owners Bernard Brown III and Britt H. Brown. BB Construction, located at 574 Mac Smith Road, Rossville, Georgia. Map number 0011A113. Mr. Stokes.
Ordinance number 2018-05, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by authority thereof. Section 1, that the following property owned by Bernard H. Brown III and Britt H. Brown, BB Construction and known as 574 Mac Smith Road, Rossville, Georgia, 30741, map 0011A113, is rezoned to a PM Plan Development Mixed Use Zoning. Said property is particularly described as Exhibit A attached to this ordinance. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council, first reading 12th day of February 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 7 under ordinances, first reading, ordinance number 2018-06, zoning. Request zoning, C2 special exception. Owner, C. Larry Armour. C. Larry Armour trustee, Gail C. Armour. Irrevocable trust under agreement dated July 1, 2004. And C. Larry Armour trustee and Gail C. Armour trustee of Jason Michael Armour irrevocable trust under agreement dated July 1, 2004. Location 0 Cobb Parkway. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018-06, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by authority thereof. Section 1, that the following property owned by C. Larry Armour trustee, and Gail C. Armour trustee of the Larry Todd Armour Irrevocable Trust under agreement dated July 1st, 2004, and C. Larry Armour trustee and Gail C. Armour trustee of the Jason Michael Armour Irrevocable Trust under agreement dated July 1st, 2004, and known as 0 Cobb Parkway, is rezoned to a C2 special exception zoning. Said property is particularly described in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. That this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council, first reading 12th day of May 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Need a drink?
I got it.
Item number 8 under ordinances, first reading, ordinance number 2018-07, annexation, owner ERTH LLC, location map number 0010B036, Emerson Drive. Mr. Stokes.
Ordinance number 2018-07, annexation, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by ERTH LLC and known as part of MAP 0010B036 Emerson Drive is annexed into the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Said property is particularly described as attached as Exhibit A to this ordinance. Section 2, if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 12th day of February 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Item number 9, under ordinances, first reading, ordinance number 2018-08, zoning, owner ERTH LLC, location map number 0010B036, Emerson Drive, request zoning to C2. Mr. Stokes.
Ordinance number 2018-08, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by ERTH LLC and known as part of MAP 0010B036 Emerson Drive is rezoned to a C2 zoning. Said property is particularly described in the exhibit attached to this ordinance and available in the clerk's office. Section 2, if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. This first reading, 12th day of February 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. You may take a break now.
Thanks, sir.
Next item on the agenda is resolutions. Resolution number 2018-01, resolution accepting GFA loan. Ms. Simpkins, you just want to touch on it? I think everybody's familiar with it.
Sure, this resolution is a requirement of GFA for the city of Fort Oglethorpe to officially accept the $3 million loan. It essentially authorizes the mayor to sign all loan documents and the city clerk to attest all loan documents.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Child?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Tennant?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have none. Next item on the agenda is reading of the city clerk of any communications. We have none. Next item on the agenda is new business. Article 1 under new business, proposed approval for engineering services. Mr. Parker.
Mayor, council, this request is actually twofold. It's task order 2018-1 and task order 2018-2. Task order number 1 is for engineering services to assist us in preparing the required programs that Ms. Simpkins briefly touched on in the work session. They're due for us to have them into Chattanooga by May 18th. It's a pump station operation and maintenance program, a gravity line preventative maintenance program, force main inspection, and review of our fog ordinance. These items are part of the interjurisdictional agreement with Chattanooga. Most of, a good portion of these we've completed part, and some are in process. Would request that fee would be $7,500. On task order number 2, this one directly relates to our capacity assurance program, which we are required to have in place by 2020, I believe it is. And that is for the engineers to basically evaluate our sanitary sewer collection system, to evaluate all the pump stations, to determine what our actual capacity in our system is. so that we can establish a capacity assurance program. Till we establish a capacity assurance program, any new developments over greater than 5,000 gallons a day has to be approved, sent up to Chattanooga for approval. Part of this engineering agreement is for CTI engineers to review those documents to make sure that we are getting the right information, that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed before we send information up to Chattanooga. The two engineering requests combined for $34,300 would be with CTI engineers as part of some of the work under our general services agreement. This is also a budgeted line item in the water sewer budget for sewer improvement mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2, under new business, proposed approval for the purchase of water meters. Mr. Parker.
Okay, we are requesting approval to purchase enough water meters to finish out our system. Right now, we're about 55% in our water system of automatic meters, the data log meters that are radio read. We're requesting this to go ahead and finish it out. Hopefully, if we go ahead and get the purchase made, we can finish it by summer, to where, as opposed, right now it takes us a day and a half to read, another day to do rechecks. If we can get our system built out, we should be able to read the meters within about a half a day, as long as it takes to drive through town, and then hopefully cut way down on our rechecks because it'll be automatic. You have a list of the number included. It'd be 1,300 residential meters, and then several commercial type meters. The purchase would be through Delta Municipal Supply Company. They are the exclusive Georgia supplier. Attached to your memo is a sole source letter from Delta. I also checked on the website, the Neptune website. They show only Delta Municipal as the only supplier in Georgia. The purchase would be from water sewer fund balance. I've discussed this with the finance director as opposed to going to GFA loan, which we had considered, but we have the money in the fund balance to make this purchase. The purchase amount would be $270,945.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3, under new business, proposed approval to accept sewer and easements. Mr. Parker.
Okay, this is a request from Thad Hunt to accept the sanitary sewer and easements on the Mac Smith Business Center, also known as Hunt Drive, off Mac Smith Road, and also the sewers and easements in the Sunset Cove subdivision, also off the Mac Smith Road area. These lines have been in service for a number of years. We've had no issues that I'm aware of, so I'm not opposed to accepting it as part of the city system.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, City Manager's Report. Ms. Simpkins.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. You have some information. It's a financial summary of $27,000 more than what we budgeted. Water sales were less than budgeted, and actual expenditures were less than budgeted by $381,000. The SPLOST fund available balance at the end of 2017 is $1,216,768. Some of that has already been committed to purchases that were made in 2017, just not paid yet. and then some of it will be used for your other priority projects. Also, we do have, while we're on the topic of the dog park, we have our first meeting will be on Tuesday, February 27th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. We did a dog park survey a while ago and got a lot of positive response from it. So we'll be sending out an email and making contact with those folks who said they were interested in contributing in some way. Also, I have some hard copies of a Thriving Community Survey for anybody who's interested in giving us feedback on things about the city of Fort Oglethorpe that you love, things that you think could be improved. This is an important initiative that I think you're going to hear more about in the public comment section, but I do have hard copies of that survey for anybody here who would like to provide your feedback. That's all, Mayor.
Ms. Simpkins, real quick, could you give just a quick update on our $3 million grant? I know on the website we got a little bit of confusion when we was talking about the thriving communities, and they kind of got put together and mixed up a little bit there.
Sure. So years ago, we received a $3 million grant from the Appalachian Regional Commission to improve Lafayette Road, and it's going to be a streetscape program, and actually GDOT is the project manager for the funds. Unfortunately, it's a very slow process, but GDOT says that it is on time, so we expect the construction to be let in October of this year. So you should see construction in 2019. We are on time.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. Any council members have any questions for Ms. Simpkins? Next item on the agenda, city council comments. Mr. Childs?
I really don't have any, Mayor.
Mr. Crawford?
Yeah, I know we get to hear from Mr. Parker all the time, and he does a great job, but we don't get Miss Parker much into these council meetings, and she does a great job she volunteers throughout the city with our seniors and with the Boy Scouts and everything. Thank you, Miss Parker, in putting up the field and letting us having him. And with basketball season wrapping up as our first full season in the gym, and it's been a pretty successful season, I'd like to just thank Jeff Long, rec commissioner, and some of our city employees that actually do some stuff on their own time. You'll see them up there Saturdays, Sundays, and that's Mark Cope, Blue Smith, Robert Keeve, and then our new part-time employee, Austin Cope. It's been a great, and then also I'd like to thank Chief Helton with the tournaments and stuff going on. He's been very kind of stopping by and just kind of making sure tempers stay down. So, and also Travis Barbie and Adam Wilson with the Catoosa County Rec Department. They put our schedules and stuff together, and it's been a good season and a lot of fun, a lot of compliments on the gymnasium. People are excited. If citizens hadn't got to go by there, come on in anytime you see it, look around. It's something to be proud of. And I'd like to end by, I know it's a couple of weeks ago, but Councilman Childs on the Dancing with the Stars that he does. It's how many years I've known for 4, and you've raised quite a bit of money. And
Got beat this year on the money part.
but you've raised a lot of money. I know we've got several other people that's been involved in that. Council A. Stanton, I know Mr. Russell does that, and I think Ms. Hunt, she danced before. So in any of that, it's impressive to have the courage to get up there and do that stuff. So I envy you guys. But that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Rogers?
I don't have anything tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Ms. James?
I want to say thank you to everyone for your care and concern about my brother when he was out. That's where I was at the last meeting, and I appreciate the patience of me not being here that night, but he's doing better, so everything's looking good for him.
Thank you, Ms. James. Ms. Stinnett?
Yes, sir. I want to echo Mr. Kinder. That's Corporal Zane Gleaves, who was Firefighter of the Year at the VFW 3679. But something that's so remarkable about Corporal Gleaves is the fact that he began with the fire department during his high school years as an explorer and moved up through the ranks. And that shows why our high school kids have this ability to get involved in great things within our city. Another thing that the VFW did was their Voice of Democracy. They offered our high school community the opportunity to write essays The top 6 essays, in fact, going to the state of Georgia, came from Ridgeland High School. There's a lot of scholarship money that are involved with that. So high schoolers, get involved with what you see going on in your city and with the VFW. The Veteran and Citizen Committee will be meeting again on the first Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. And also the Veteran Citizen Committee will be working to clean up Honor Park. That's our park located off of Shelby Street on Claiborne Street, and that will be Saturday, March 24th at 10 a.m. I hope everyone will come and volunteer to help clean it up and get ready for a park dedicated to all those who serve. That's all, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Stinnett. Next item on the agenda, citizens petitions and requests. Mr. Dial.
I want to thank the mayor and the council for allowing us a few minutes tonight to bring you up to speed. If you're not familiar with Thriving Communities, please go on our website, on our webpage, or we have a Facebook page. It's Fort O, F-O-R-T, then O, Thriving Communities. Go and check that out. Fort Oglethorpe had the honor of being selected one of the 4 new communities in a 13-county tri-state area out of Chattanooga to participate in this. And what we're going to do is, right now, the volunteers were going to 2 classes this week. We went to a class last week on learning how this proceeds about getting a grant of $20,000 from the Lyndhurst Foundation to do a project that involves either arts and culture or something along those lines. So we are working now and putting our footprint out there to try to select what we want to do as a community. And as Ms. Simpkins said, please take a hard copy here tonight with you. Fill that out. Your feedback is very important to us. And also, if you don't want to take time to fill that out, go on our Facebook page. It is on there, and you can take it on there, and it'll get counted quicker. So far, we've had over 200 responses, and we've only had it going on for a week. We were at the library on Saturday and took quite a few of them, and we want to know the good, bad, and ugly of what we can do to help the community to improve and make a community that people want to be proud to live in, visit, and come and do business with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Next item on the agenda is executive session. We have nothing. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.